if you have moves, but you don't have good ways in and out of them, figuring out something that helps you have a consistent transition, something that's in your flow, that'll connect to it, can help you integrate it into your flow. So for example, I was recently thinking, I wanted to integrate the stall chaser into my flow. And I do the airwrap a lot, and I do the airwrap a lot where I then go into the Travolta. So it's really not that big a deal to go from the Travolta into the stall chase. So I started practicing that as a combo so that I could use the stall chase in my actual choreography. So if you connect it to something that you use a lot and you use naturally in your flow, you'll start to evolve your flow by adding these other likely cooler tricks. You'll be having a great way to get into them, and it'll be easier to find your way into them because it'll be from something that you know and use often. Well, I would bet like your weave is probably a super core move, right? So one of the reasons I have people do this airwrap combination where they go from the weave to the airwrap is because it's such a powerful way to take something you already know and add on this new, much harder thing in a context that, you know, works. Okay, you're doing it this way. Because the weave is a side plane move, if you turn like this to do the wall plane airwrap, remember your angles are going to be different because you're doing a crossover here and your hip is twisted back. So because remember with the tangle you have to have the two kind of making an X or like a V so you can cross over them, and the angle would be a V. The shape would be an X because you have the heads beyond the point of intersection. And if you're back here, it's harder to get your X, right? Because if you're coming from side plane here or whatever side plane here, it's harder to get your X without consciously putting the thought into it. So if you turn your body a little more, or you push the crossing arm forward more, or some combination of those two, that can help you when you turn into it. I said forward, I didn't mean forward this way. I meant forward across to the other side of the body. Thank you for helping me clarify that. And then one thing that'll help you in general with your airwrap is more up and down force at the point of the tangle. So right now you're sort of just casually letting it hit itself like this. If you give it more direction intentionally, like more up and down energy, it'll push through with a little bit more vim and vigor, and won't have that sort of halting effect that happens when you might have enough force to get through some of those tangles that are not untangling properly. Does that make sense? Also, more of the center point, less toward the tip of the ball. Up and down force. So remember, your right arm is pulling up, your left arm is pushing down. Right now you're pulling sideways. Remember, as your right arm crosses to the left side, it's pulling up, while the left one pushes down. The right one pulls up, left one pushes down. Right one pulls up, left one pushes down. Just make sure that it's equal and opposite throughout. So you have to wait till the tangle happens before you pull up and push down at the same amount of force as you pull up. Right now you're pulling up with your right, but not pushing down with your left. They're different energies is all it is. You could do this first, maybe. Just stand there and do a bunch of these. And then play with your hand path size so that you can explore what it takes to do more or less separation of the hands. And remember, if you're not hitting yourself, you're not challenging yourself. I mean, if you always do what you've always done, then you probably aren't hitting yourself anymore. Where's the challenge in that? That's good for some period of time, but that leads to too much boredom sometimes. And then hard to get into flow state if you don't have quite enough challenge. Of course, the opposite is true as well. If you have too much challenge, it can be hard to get into flow state also because it's just too nerve-wracking, as opposed to being too easy and boring.